Welcome back to EAK TV in partnership with CryptoSlate. My name is Jia Gold, and here with me is Mr. David from Ripple. Hello, Mr. David.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for having here. How are you liking Japan so far?
Well, it's a little warm right now, but other than that, I mean, the food is amazing, the people are amazing, the community is amazing, the events have been amazing, so I love it every time I come here.
How many times have you been here? It seems like you've been to Japan a lot of times.
I think this is my 5th trip to Japan.
Really?
Yeah, I just love to walk around, see the people. I was here once when the cherry blossoms.
Oh, the sakura season.
So beautiful.
I bet.
It was great seeing families out there like having picnics under the trees. It was just fantastic.
So do you always come to Japan to experience the culture, the food? Which one is your favorite food, by the way?
Well, I'm a big fan of sushi.
Sushi.
And it's just, it's just so good here. And of course the beef. Beef in Japan is so much better than beef in the United States.
Have you tried the Wagyu A5?
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. My wife came with me the last time I came to Japan. She couldn't make it this time. We actually went to Kobe, and just every random restaurant having spectacular meats. It was awesome.
I heard that the Kobe beef melts in your mouth.
It definitely does.
So it's your favorite, one of your favorite.
It is definitely one of my very favorite foods. Yeah.
It's so interesting that you love the culture in Japan and you keep coming back here. How can you say about the Japanese community?
They're one of the most vibrant communities. They're in a lot of communities. There's a lot of people who are just looking for a way to make a whole lot of money without building anything. Whereas in the Japanese community, there's a spirit of looking for problems and trying to solve them. There's a community spirit of working together, solving problems together. It's one of the most amazing things. And every time I go to Japan, I come back energized because I interact on Twitter and on social media a lot, but that's not the same as being in a room full of people who are all excited about the same thing. And that's an experience that really it is just best in Japan.
That's amazing. I totally agree with you. It's only my 2nd time here in Japan, but I also feel energized because there's a lot of things to do, especially in Tokyo. Very dynamic as well. So yeah, how do you see XRP being here in Japan?
Well, there's a community of builders who are excited about the new features on the XRP ledger. They're excited about things like tokenization, the forthcoming automated market maker. And they're building tools to allow people to interact with the XRP ledger. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that a ledger feature is not ready. It's not something that you can adopt directly. There need to be tools, and there need to be products that apps that people can put on their phone. You can't interact with the blockchain directly without having some sort of a tool that allows you to do that. And the spirit of building tools that people can actually use to interact with these services is just incredible here.
That's amazing. So let's talk about what you said about automated market feature. So can you dive deep into the more innovative trading strategy of XRPL and tell us more about the volatility harvesting strategy?
That is probably my favorite thing to talk about. I'm more excited about, people should be excited about it, but I think I'm more excited about it just because personally it fits in with a lot of things that have been interesting to me. I've been very interested in trading mechanics, and I've been very interested in looking at the volatility of digital assets as an obstacle to adoption. So if you hold a digital asset and the price goes up and goes down, it just makes it difficult to use it as something to trade with, or even to hold. The automated market maker, it actually executes a trading strategy that profits from volatility. So it makes a trading gain when the price of an asset changes. So instead of volatility being an obstacle, it becomes an advantage and it becomes a source of yield. It also adds additional liquidity. And I think the last thing you mentioned is the continuous auction mechanism, which is one of the secret sauces. It's one of the things that we came up with for the XRP ledger that other systems don't have. And what that does is that improves the efficiency of the automated market maker in preventing volatility from being a drain on revenue. So if the price of the assets the automated market maker holds goes down, the automated market maker will lose some value. And it uses the continuous auction mechanism to make up for that. And then I think the last thing that's exciting is there's some inherent features of the XRP ledger that really benefit automated market maker implementation. So there's nothing special we had to do for this. It's just the native characteristics. It's very fast and it's very cheap. And when you're dealing with volatility, if your transaction is going to take a long time, you have to protect yourself from changes in asset values during that time period where your transaction is sort of waiting to execute. And so cutting those times down makes it much more efficient. And then, of course, the low cost of a transaction. You won't perform, even if you could make $1 from a transaction, if it costs you $2, you won't make the transaction. But if the transaction is cheap, you'll see more transactions, and that means that smaller price changes will be reflected in the activity on the ledger, which will mean more yield and more efficiency. So I'm really excited to see all these things come together. On paper, it all looks amazing, and in theory, it all looks great. But it's very hard to just super excited to see all of those things like in practice actually working.
That's very amazing, Mr. David. And we saw a price surge in XRP recently because of the success of the lawsuit. And congratulations, by the way, XRP is not a security. We knew it all along. I was an XRP army, actually. And it's very, I feel very happy to be sitting side by side with you. So in this terms, what message would you convey to other crypto and fintech companies amidst the regulatory uncertainties?
Well, this particular victory will probably be very useful, particularly to companies like exchanges in the United States, where they have similar issues. I think also, just globally, the regulatory environments are different in different countries, and I think people know where the regulatory environment is very good. Japan, for example, the regulatory environment is really, really good here. There's more certainty around stable coins. There's more certainty around NFTs, real world asset tokenization. Even things like DAOs, even things like autonomous sort of digital companies, and I build where the regulatory environment is friendly. Okay. Don't pick a fight for no reason. There are certainly jurisdictions that are receptive to crypto projects, and nobody would want to fight their government for 2.5 years like we had to. If you can avoid that, I would say definitely build where the ground is the flattest. You know what I mean? And I also say that it's nice, even where the regulations are not perfect, when there's a positive engagement between the cryptocurrency community and the regulator. So, for example, in Japan, the ruling party has been very receptive to hearing what blockchain ecosystems, what companies can build, and they haven't closed the door, because there are bad things that companies can. I mean, we've all seen scams and exit scams and rug pulls and all kinds of problems in the cryptocurrency space. So the right answer for the government is not anything goes. The right answer is to be thoughtful and deliberative, and that's never going to be as fast as we want it to be. But it is nice to see places where it's moving in the right direction. And I would say to projects, don't build where the ground is the flattest. Don't steer yourself into a problem that you can avoid. There are a number of jurisdictions that want these kinds of projects, want to be part of the new economy. And that's where the talent is going to go. That's where the money's going to go. That's
very amazing, Mr. David. So let's talk about the use cases and tokenization of real-world assets in terms of this that you just explained to us.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite use cases that's getting a lot of traction right now. There's sort of two types of things in this world that have value. There's currencies that we sort of created just to have value, but the reason we have currencies is not for their own sake. We use them to buy and sell things and to move things around in the real world. And if you're just addressing currencies and like things that exist as financial products, that's half the equation. The other half is all of the stuff that we want currency to buy, all of the stuff that we make and sell. And that's at least as important as, the financial system has often ignored the fact that there's real stuff out there. And a good example is real estate, which is very difficult to prove provenance of. It's difficult to trade. A complex legal system has built up around addressing the problems of fraud and so on. And these are things that can be tremendously streamlined. And even things that are very close to finance, like loans, there's a lot of obstacles in going through the credit process, issuing the loans, and tracking the ownership of the loan. Sometimes your loan might get sold and bought by somebody else, and tracking who you have to pay that money to. All of these things are just very complicated, very slow, and very expensive, and these are all things that could be streamlined and improved. And I think the last one is things like carbon credits, which I think the big problem with carbon credits is you need to be sure that someone didn't sell the same credit to two different people. Right. If you have a marketplace whose records are public and a project says, we're going to sell all of our carbon credits on this one marketplace, and that marketplace is an open book, it's a public ledger, then you can know that that project is not selling more carbon offsets than they're creating. And so solving those kinds of problems, I think, is very, very interesting. And I think we're at the point now where we've proven the technology is stable and reliable enough that you can start putting these these are very large dollar values. These are, the real estate market is hundreds of trillions of dollars. But you can start putting these things on these technologies, because I think they've reached the point where they've proven that they're not going to blow up tomorrow.
Right.
They've been around long enough that they're not going to blow up tomorrow.
So in terms of this, how do you feel about the ecosystem now versus, a few years ago? Do you think we are heading in the right direction?
I think so. I think one of the biggest changes that I've seen is the movement from a sort of something that's aimed at enthusiasts to something that's sort of aimed at mass adoption.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I buy a computer, I look at all the specs. How many gigahertz, how many gigabytes, how many cores, how many pixels are on the screen. But I'm an enthusiast. Like, I care a lot about all of that stuff. But when a normal person goes to buy a computer, they don't care about any of that stuff. They care about the experience that they're going to get. Mm-hmm. Are they going to have problems with it, or is it going to let them get what they need to get done? And I think we're starting to see that the community and the marketplace pivot from people who are super interested in the technology to people who have real world problems, and they don't really care what technology solves their problem, they just want a solution. And that's the way that you get mass adoption. That's the way that you get traction. If you look at the adoption of the internet, most people have no idea what the technology is. They don't care. They just know that it solves their problems for them, cheaply, efficiently. That's what they care about. And when you start to see that kind of pivot happening in the community, as we're just starting to see, I would say over the past year and a half or so, mm-hmm. we're just starting to turn that corner. And that's when you go from something that's only interesting to enthusiasts to something that everybody wants to have because it solves a problem for them and they have great experiences using it.
Definitely. So speaking of that, what should we watch out for with Ripple this year? Any partnerships or any developments that we need to, keep our eyes on?
You're going to see a lot of partnerships around real-world asset tokenization. On mm-hmm. the XRP ledger side, you're going to see, mm-hmm. I hope, the automated market maker implementation that's now been proposed. It has to go through a community approval process. We don't get to, say what happens on the XRP ledger. We're looking at decentralized identity to give people more control over who they do business with and take some of the friction out of onboarding. One of the most annoying things for a consumer to deal with is if they want to use 7 services, they have to go through an onboarding process multiple times, and then their information is just sort of out there to everybody. So decentralized identity to improve that. We're looking at lending protocols to make loans more efficient and better ways for people who don't have access to good financial services to be able to get access to things like investment products and sort of move and switch between different types of value. So I think you're going to see a lot of exciting stuff over the next year or so.
I'm very excited. As an XRP army, I'm very stoked about this, Mr. David. And I've been following you on Twitter, by the way. And I love your humor. So maybe you could tell our audience about your favorite joke.
I'm going to tell you my favorite pirate joke. This joke, I've told it a couple of times in the past couple of days, always gets a great response. And of course, with hooks and some of the stuff going on in the smart contract space, I think it kind of is appropriate. Mm-hmm. So, man just finished his day at work. It's late. He's thirsty. He passes a bar, and he decides to go into the bar and get something to drink. Goes into the bar. He orders a drink, and at the other end of the bar, he sees a man in a pirate costume, and I mean like a Hollywood-grade pirate costume.
Oh.
He's got the hook hand, the peg leg, the eye patch, everything except the parrot on his shoulder. And so he walks up to that man. He says, "That is the most amazing pirate costume I've ever seen." And the guy says, "I'm not going to do a pirate accent. Can't do it."
Can you try?
No, I cannot. I know my limitations. That's the most important thing. He says, "No, it's not a pirate costume. I'm a pirate." Mm-hmm. And the guy's like, No. There aren't pirates like that anymore. That he's like, "Nope, it's still pirates. I'm a pirate." The guy says, "All right. I don't know that I believe you, but let me test you. How did you get the peg leg?" And the man says, "Well, we were in battle against a bunch of Corsairs, and we won the battle, but one of them just cut my leg clean off, and when you're a pirate, when you lose your leg, you get a peg leg." The guy's like, "I don't know if I believe that, but, I don't know what I expected, but okay." So he says, "How'd you get the hook hand?" He says, "You're never going to believe this. It was the very next day. Got into a battle. I was unsteady. I had the peg leg. I wasn't as good in battle as I was used to. Cut my arm right off. And when you're a pirate and you lose your arm, you get a hook hand." He says, okay, I don't know that I believe that either. I don't know what I expected, but well, I guess I got to ask you, how'd you get the eye patch?
Oh, how?
Guy says, you're not going to believe this. It was the very next day. We were coming into port, and I heard a weird sound above me. And so I looked up to see what the sound was, and a seagull just relieved themselves right in my eye. And the guy's like, okay, I don't believe that. Maybe I believe the peg leg, maybe I believe the hook hand, but there is no way you expect me to believe that you lost your eye and need an eye patch because of a seagull. And he says, well, you have to remember, it was my first day with the hook.
Oh, yeah. That's very funny, Mr. David.
Oh,
well,
thank you
so much for having us here at WebX Tokyo, Japan.
It's great to be here.
And I hope you have a nice day in Japan. Eat more sushi and Kobe beef.
I'm definitely going to.
Thank you very much.